I am an aging life care consultant with Aging Outreach Services. I've been with that company for about 20 years now. My passion throughout my career has always been working with older adults who have Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. So I was honored to be asked to come here today and to present about home safety. I love being the local resource for all things aging. But especially those people who suffer from dementia and other types of cognitive impairments. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about home safety and aging in place. And aging in place is just a term that we use that just means growing older where you are, no matter where that is. And a lot of people, it's a fact that most people want to age in their home and not have to move to a facility. However, not everyone takes into consideration all the things that must go into staying into your home. So I'm going to go over a lot of details in hopes that at the end of this presentation, you'll be enlightened and be able to make better decisions about whether or not you can, in fact, age in place. The name of this program is called Can My Current Home Be My Forever Home? So we're going to talk first about the basics of your home and how it's set up and the structure of the home. So let's talk about the entrance and exit of your home. So do you have a ramp? Is it ramp accessible? We had a client recently who needed a ramp put in their home, but she had a homeowners association that didn't allow ramps in the front, and the back exit was really high, so she had to have a ramp that had multiple turns to make sure that the dimensions were correct. So you have to think about other compartments that come into making those types of decisions. Sometimes if your only entrance into your home is through your garage, you would have to have a lift if you're wheelchair bound. So you make a decision whether or not you need the lift or the ramp, and is your home able to consist of those objects. Also at the entrance and exit, we talk a lot about alarms and locks. So entry into the home, is there an alarm that would notify the person that's living there that someone else is entering? But also, if you're caring for somebody who has dementia and they're living at home alone, you want to know when they're leaving the house also, not just when somebody else is coming in. You want to be notified when that door is open and that person is exiting. So there are alarms that will allow that to happen. You can't put a lock on the outside of the door, keeping the person inside for safety reasons, but you can put the locks on the inside, maybe up a little higher, down a little lower from their eyesight, so that they're not constantly going in and out of that door, wandering outside of the home. So those are some of the things we talk about at the entry and exit of a home. And then once you enter the home, there are all kinds of things that we need to take into consideration. So one of those things is hazardous objects, materials, things that may be unsafe for the person who has dementia who's living in that home. A lot of times when we talk about that, the person automatically thinks of cleaning supplies and weapons. So those are sort of the most common things that we think about, but there are tons of things that may be harmful to the person who has dementia. So that person may ingest soap, dish detergent, things that you don't even think about in the home, so you have to be very careful. Recently, I had a client who had a wax burner, and they come with these really pretty cubes, and the daughter didn't melt the wax. She just left the cubes on there for decoration. It was pretty, it looked nice, but her mom ate it. So you have to be extremely careful about all types of ingestible objects for somebody who has dementia. Of course, any weapons, sharp objects, knives, ice picks, anything that they could harm themselves or somebody else, you need to make sure that those items are locked up and safe. Medications is another thing that we talk frequently about. We'll frequently go into a client's home and they will have old expired medications in the medicine cabinet, or it will be their spouse's medication who's no longer there. So making sure that the medications are disposed of properly, and the ones that they are able to continue to use and they need are in a safe place that they can access those medications. You want to talk about lighting when you're in a home, making sure that the lighting is appropriate for the person that has dementia. Is it bright enough? Is it too bright? You want to talk about minimizing any fall risk. So we talk about minimizing all the clutter in a home. We minimize extension cords that you could trip over. And of course, the number one cause of falls in older adults is throw rugs. So we want to take those throw rugs out of the home or make sure they're very secure so that they are not falling and they're not a tripping hazard for that older adult. The other things that we're going to look at, I'll kind of break it down into rooms for you guys. So we will go first into the kitchen. One of my favorite things to do when I go to a client's house is to make sure that they have a smoke detector, carbon monoxide, and a fire extinguisher. Frequently, we'll find that they actually do have a fire extinguisher, but they have no idea how to use it, or it's expired. So what would be the point in having one if they couldn't use it? So making sure they understand how to use it and that it's working properly, making sure the batteries are changed in the smoke detectors regularly, and that the carbon monoxide awareness utensils are working properly. Another thing that we do in the kitchen is examine their refrigerator. People often forget that older adults who are suffering from dementia don't understand or acknowledge when food has gone bad. So there will be expired sauces, meat, fruit in the fridge, which can be very dangerous to somebody who has dementia. They can get really sick if that food is ingested. So making sure that you're routinely going into the home and cleaning out the refrigerator, trying to keep everything in there fresh and well stocked for your loved one. Also, when it comes to the refrigerator, we talk a lot about older adults who no longer have the ability to cook, but their loved ones will bring groceries to the house, and it'll be broken down to things that they need to prepare a meal, to cook for themselves. And that doesn't do them any good because they no longer know how to do that. Or there'll be frozen meals in the refrigerator with no instructions on how to use that meal, or the instructions will be really tiny and that person no longer read the instructions. So maybe just making sure that that person knows how to use the microwave and adding instructions for your loved ones to keep them safe so that they are preparing food properly to keep them healthy and safe. If you're planning to age in place in your kitchen, you want to make sure that it is wheelchair accessible. So you want to make sure that the cabinets are at a height that should you be wheelchair bound, you have the ability to continue to cook or use the sink or get to cabinets. So the levels of things need to come down to a wheelchair level size. If you are in the kitchen and you're washing dishes or washing your hands, you may run across issues with the hot water heater. So that's another thing that we take into consideration in both the kitchen and the bathroom is what the temperature is set on your hot water heater. Is it going to allow you to keep a controlled temperature so that that person is not burning themselves either in the kitchen or in the bathroom when they're accessing the water? So we can move on to the bathroom now. We talk about the bathroom. In the bathroom, frequently you'll see older adults who may have a raised toilet seat. Grab bars are really important in the bathroom, a place for them to help stand up and feel confident. A shower seat in the shower or a bench. Non-sliding decoys on the floor of your shower to keep you from sliding. Again, the hot water heater that we talked about earlier, and then the handheld shower head can be really helpful in the shower to keep them safe, allow them to sit on that bench or that seat and still get a good shower, but have the accessibility of moving that shower head. Again, the bathroom is another place that a lot of people want a rug. If they want it to soak up the water, they want a rug to be there. So you got to be very careful about the bath mats, even in the bathroom. Take that into consideration. So moving on to the bedroom, you would go into your bedroom and look again at lighting and space. Is there a room in your bedroom for your wheelchair? Is the lighting appropriate? What about the height of the bed? So some people have a bed that stands high that they no longer are able to get in, or they have a bed that's too low that they have a hard time getting off of. So both of those things become a fall hazard for older adults. So you want to make sure that's at appropriate height. You want to make sure that your loved one can get out of that bed. So is it a bed that will raise up? That might be helpful. If it's a bed that stays flat, is there something that you can attach to the ceiling and to the floor to make sure that they have something to grab onto to stand up? So that can be helpful for your loved ones as well. Again, in the bedroom, you might often find rugs, weapons, so you want to make sure that you're looking around in there, just making sure that everything in the bedroom is safe for your loved one. And then the whole house, you want to make sure, again, the carbon monoxide, the smoke detectors are properly working. You want to make sure that that's conducive throughout the entire home for your loved ones. Back to medications for a minute, as far as making sure that the medications are safely secure. Even when you have a loved one who's able to manage their medications or they're stored properly, they may forget at some point how to take those medications, or they might think it's morning and it's night and they're taking the wrong medication. So we often recommend, if you have a loved one who has cognitive issues, they're living alone, we recommend that you use an electronic medication planner. So that planner would allow you to make sure that your loved one is getting the proper medication at the right time and the right dosage. I really like the one called MedMinder. It will blink whenever it's time for your loved one to take their medicine. If they forget, it will beep. If they forget, it'll call you, and if you forget, it will call your loved one, and they can call you and remind you to take your medication. But there are tons of different ones set up around, the country that you could get that would be really helpful for your loved one. So that's another thing that I always want to make sure that I'm recommending. We talk a lot about safety, and some things when we talk to people who have dementia, their loved ones, we think of things, if I tell you to go brush your teeth, that is like one step to you. You think, okay, I can go brush my teeth. However, cognitively, that's a lot of steps. You have to know where to go. You have to pick up your toothbrush. You have to take the lid off the toothpaste. You have to squeeze the toothpaste. You have to put it on the toothbrush. You have to put it in your mouth. So there are tons of steps that come into consideration whenever you're giving instructions to someone. So you can't just say to someone, go brush your teeth, because that's a lot of steps for somebody who has dementia. So you have to be able to break down that information for them, and maybe even leave notes for them, broken down, posted safety information. How to get an emergency service, how to call 911. That seems like such an easy thing for us. We pick up the phone, we dial 911, but they may need more easy, broken down, step-by-step information so that they can help themselves when the time comes. Another thing that we like to talk about and incorporate when we're talking about safety is somebody who has dementia, their visuospatial issues. That means that their brain and their eyes may not be communicating together the way that yours or eyes would. We often see a beautiful, shiny kitchen floor that looks clean and pretty to us, but to that person, it may look wet. So you'll see they're walking towards their space, and they go to step, and they kind of come back, and they're a little confused about, that floor space. You'll see that frequently in an entryway. So it'll go from carpet to hardwoods, and that may look like a step because their depth perception is off. So it may look like a step up or a step down. So they're walking, they may hesitate because they're not sure if they're going up or down, and then they may fall. So there are definite things that you need to take into consideration in regards to visuospatial issues. It affects driving, reading, but also safety when we're talking about home safety issues. We want to point out that there are, in regards to steps being in the home, you want to make sure that they are a different color than the carpet. So don't take your carpet and your steps and have them the same color, because it may all look like the same to them and they may end up falling down the stairs. So you'd want to take the carpet and make it this on the stairs and make it red or white or whatever to differentiate that from the top of the steps. We'll see that frequently, like if somebody wakes up in the middle of the night, they need to use the restroom, they go in the bathroom. Well, everything in the bathroom is white, usually. So where do they go to the bathroom? They may not know. It might be the sink, it might be the bathtub. They don't know. So we'll put colors in the toilet to make sure that they can see that that's different. It's blue, it's water. It makes it more accessible for them to be able to use the bathroom in the appropriate place and not have to worry about slipping and falling or having, another tripping hazard there in the house. You want to make sure that your emergency contacts are posted in the home and very visible. Make sure whoever you want them to call an emergency, is it 911? Is it you? Is it their neighbor? What they should do? Poison control should be on that list because of the things we talked about originally, like what should happen if they were to ingest that, what they need to do in an emergency. You want to make sure that you do have a plan in place for if there is an emergency. That should also be listed in the home, as well as a list of those medications that they're taking that can help. If EMS were to come to the house, they would need to know where to access those medications and where they are. You guys are going to get an episode on technology, but I would like to touch on technology a little bit because it does play such a big role in safety in the home. I talked earlier a little bit about the medication management planner. That's obviously a safety thing. We talked a little bit about alarms. There are so many things that you can use now in your home to keep you safe. One of the things that we talk a lot about are cameras in the home that can be accessed by family or your caregiver, whoever that person might be. But a lot of the cameras now have fall detection. So even if you're not actually watching the camera, you would get an alert if your loved one were to fall. Another thing that you can consider is a watch or one of the I've fallen and I can't get up buttons, because a lot of them will have fall detection on them as well. So they also have GPSs set into those things now. So if your loved one were to wander out of the home, you can set up a radius around your home. So like if it's okay for your loved one to be in the yard doing yard work and you're not concerned about that, you could set it up for like a half a mile radius or a quarter of a mile radius. But once they exit that, then you're alerted that your loved one is out of that safe zone, and you would be able to locate them because of their GPS on whatever it is that they're wearing that's keeping them safe. So you want to make sure that there are things inside the house, cameras, your watch or whatever, but also things that would work if they were outside of the home. So be sure you take that into consideration. Then there's the Alexas of the world. You can set them up for when you walk into a room, the light will come on. When you're out of the room for a certain amount of time, the light will automatically shut off. That's prevented a lot of falls, and there's created a lot of safe zones for older adults, so that they do feel comfortable when they walk into a room. They don't have to look for the light switch. It's the middle of the night. They know if they walk somewhere, that light will shut on. You can also set those up to set up a calendar, or asking the questions like, what's the weather today? So you can think about what you're going to wear. What do I have on my calendar today? A lot of things that can kind of help keep your loved one oriented and safe there in the house. So there are tons of things that you can do electronically to make sure that your loved one is safe. So the last thing that I want to talk about, we talk a lot about safety, but also, are your loved ones comfortable in the house? We talked about the hot water some, but what about the temperature? the thermostat. The number one cause of behaviors in somebody who has dementia is that their body temperature is off. So it may just be that they want it to be warmer, or they need it to be warmer because they're feeling cold, or vice versa. But if they start to get agitated or upset, you've got to make sure that they're able to regulate their body and get the right temperature, and that can help with behaviors. You also, often we have to put a lock on the thermostat because they may turn it up to a dangerously high heat or a dangerously low. In the wintertime, we've had clients turn it off altogether, and we get there and it's 50 degrees in the house, or in the summertime, they're always cold, so they've got the heat on instead of the air on, and it can be very dangerous to them, so we want to take that into consideration as well. The last thing that I want to talk about as far as comfort goes in the house is your ability for them to recognize and understand what's going on around them. So pictures, things that are comforting to them, whether it's a blanket, a fidget sleeve, a picture book, something that is comfortable for them. I had a client one time when I worked into a facility, and every day at 3 o'clock she got really agitated and wanted to leave the facility. After lots of research and trying to figure out what was going on, her daughter came in one day, and we were talking to her about our issue, and she told us that her mom worked in a mill her whole life, and she got off at 3 o'clock and wanted to go home to her farm. So she wanted to be on a farm in the afternoon. She did not want to be in the facility. So we painted this beautiful mural on the wall, and that was just the safety net that she needed to be comfortable every day. She would go and she would look at it, and she would think that she was on her farm, and it just gave her so much peace. So there are lots of things that you can take into consideration when you're talking about the safety part of being at home, and also incorporating that comfort piece of being at home. So who can do these safety evaluations? Care managers can do that. Somebody like myself, physical therapists, occupational therapists can do that. I would recommend that you reach out to your local aging care facility that's in your county and ask them who you could reach out to. Medicare will cover a home assessment if it's ordered by your doctors. So, thank you, and I hope you guys have a great day.